Title, Clear Out Your Desk. The board has spoken. My brother-in-law smirked, his voice dripping with smug satisfaction. Time to pack up. The board's kicked you out. My wife's lips curled into a frosty smile. We'll run the company just fine without you, she said, her words sharp and calculated. I gave a slow nod, calm as ever, and replied, very well. Then, with a steady gaze, I added, but have you checked Clause 19 in the agreement? By the next morning, their world was in ruins. Chapter 1, The Betrayal. The boardroom buzzed with tension, the polished oak table gleaming under harsh lights. Every eye was on me, though none dared meet mine directly. My brother-in-law, Derek, lounged in his chair, his grin wide and gloating. Clear out your desk. The board's voted you out, he declared, his tone thick with victory. Next to him, my soon-to-be ex-wife, Alina, folded her arms, her smile cutting like a blade. We'll manage the business without you, she said smoothly, as if the decision had been sealed long ago. I scanned the room. A few board members fidgeted, avoiding my gaze. The betrayal was clear, unanimous. I let the silence linger, my pulse steady. Then with a calm nod, I said, understood. Resolution won the trap. As I rose, I slid a folder across the table toward Derek. My eyes locked on his. But before you start celebrating, have you reviewed Clause 19? Their smug expressions wavered. I grabbed my briefcase and walked out, leaving their confused whispers behind. They had no clue what they'd just unleashed. Because Clause 19 wasn't just legalese. It was a carefully laid trap, one I'd designed myself. Chapter 2, Clause 19. That night, my phone buzzed relentlessly with calls from Derek and Alina. I ignored them all. They didn't deserve my time yet. Instead, I poured myself a whiskey and flipped open the original company contract, drafted with my father before we ever took on investors. Clause 19. The overlooked paragraph everyone dismissed as boilerplate. It clearly stated, in the event of an unwarranted removal of the CEO, all executive voting powers transfer to the founding trust for 1 year. During this time, no shares can be sold, transferred, or exercised, and all major decisions require approval from the trust's executor. And who was the executor? Me. I could still hear their mocking laughter from earlier. Clear out your desk, you're done. No, I thought, sipping my drink, you're the ones who are done. By morning, their empire began to crumble. Chapter 3, The Fallout. By 8 a.m., my phone lit up again. This time it was the company's CFO. Sir, you need to know, he said cautiously. The banks have locked the executive accounts. Clause 19 is in effect. I sipped my coffee unfazed. Good. That's exactly what it's meant to do. An hour later, I strolled into the office. Derek was already there, face flushed, yelling at the CFO. Alina sat beside him, her confident smirk from yesterday gone. What's this nonsense, Ethan? Derek snapped when he saw me. The accounts are frozen, we can't process payroll, sign deals, nothing. I dropped a thick binder on the table. Clause 19, I said evenly. You should have read it before staging your little takeover. Alina's voice quivered. You planned this. I met her gaze. I planned for disloyalty, I just didn't think it would come from my own family so soon. Silence gripped the room. The board members glanced between me, Derek, and Alina. Yesterday, they thought they'd erased me. Today, they realized they'd handed me total control for the next 12 months, and I wasn't going to let a single day go to waste. Chapter 4, The Shutdown. The next board meeting was pandemonium. Derek burst in, waving documents, his tie askew, his voice hoarse with fury. This is sabotage, he shouted. You can't just paralyze everything. We have deals pending, contracts to sign. You're ruining the company. I stayed composed, leafing through my notes. No, I'm safeguarding the company. Clause 19 protects against hostile takeovers, insider schemes, and reckless moves. You triggered it, not me. Alina slammed her fist on the table. This is absurd. We're your family. You're destroying us. I locked eyes with her. You stopped being family when you voted me out. The CFO cleared his throat. Without Ethan's approval, nothing moves forward. No contracts, no budgets, no executive paychecks. Derek froze. What do you mean, no paychecks? The CFO's tone was almost sympathetic. You and Mrs. Carter aren't getting paid, effective immediately. Gasps echoed around the table. Alina's face paled. Derek's jaw clenched, but no words came. I leaned back, letting the silence suffocate them. For the next year, every decision goes through me. Every dollar needs my signature. And believe me, I said with a slow, icy smile, I'm not signing anything that helps either of you. For the first time, I saw fear flash in their eyes. The empire they thought they'd claimed was slipping away, and they were powerless to stop it. Chapter 5, Unraveled. The following week, I ordered a full internal audit. A meticulous review of the company's finances. Clause 19 gave me unchecked authority, and I was going to use it. Within days, the truth surfaced. Derek had been siphoning funds into consulting fees for his personal projects. Alina had greenlit lavish expenses, designer outfits, trips, even a new car, under executive development. When the audit report hit the boardroom table, the silence was deafening. The directors stared at Derek and Alina, their faces etched with disgust. "This isn't just carelessness," one muttered. "This is theft." Derek pounded the table. "This is a setup. He's framing us." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I slid a USB drive across the table. Every receipt, every transaction, every signature. Alina's face went white as the CFO displayed the files on the projector. Her name glowed on expense after expense. By the meeting's end, they weren't just humiliated, they were trapped. The family that mocked me days ago now faced ruin, and this was just the start. Chapter 6. The public fall. The scandal broke faster than I'd anticipated. A leaked audit report found its way to a journalist who thrived on exposing corporate greed. The next morning's headline screamed, "Family business shaken by fraud claims, CFO confirms misconduct." Phones rang non-stop. Investors bylaid, clients halted contracts. By midday, Derek and Alina stormed into my office, panic twisting their faces. "You leaked this," Derek growled. "You're destroying everything." I leaned back calm. "You destroyed everything when you chose greed over loyalty. I just let the truth do the talking." Alina's voice broke. "Please fix this. Say it was a mistake. We'll make it right." I met their eyes. "You called me worthless. You tried to erase me, but empires don't fall from outside attacks. They rot from within. And you too were the rot." That afternoon, the board held an emergency meeting. By unanimous vote, Derek and Alina were suspended pending investigation. Their access cards were disabled on the spot. And me. I left the boardroom not just reinstated, but with more power than ever. They wanted me gone. Instead, they handed me the perfect revenge, watching their empire burn while I rebuilt it stronger without them. Chapter 7, the final strike. The lawsuits hit first. The SEC, alerted by the audit and media frenzy, launched a formal probe. Derek and Alina were subpoenaed, forced to turn over every record, every bank statement. Their arrogance vanished, replaced by haggard faces and shaking hands. Then came the creditors. With their salaries frozen and accounts under scrutiny, debt collectors swarmed. Luxury cars were repossessed. Their mansion, bought with inflated bonuses, faced foreclosure. But the worst wasn't the money. It was the isolation. Old friends stopped answering their calls. The social circles that once fawned over them now gossiped about their downfall. Invitations vanished. In public, they faced pointing fingers, flashing cameras, and headlines branding them as frauds and betrayers. One evening, I crossed paths with them outside the courthouse. Derek, unkempt, muttered, "You'll pay for this." I stepped closer, my eyes steady. "No, Derek, I already have. Every day you wake up to this mess, remember, I didn't ruin you." "You did." Alina's voice wavered, almost begging. "Ethan, can't we start over?" I gave her the same cold smile she'd given me when she thought she'd won. "You had everything, my trust, my loyalty, my love. You traded it for greed. Now you have what you chose, nothing." As I walked away, cameras caught Alina's face, pale, broken, humiliated. The empire they tried to steal was ashes, and the man they discarded stood taller than ever with the company, respect, and freedom restored. That was the sweetest revenge of all. Epilogue, rising again 6 months later, the company was flourishing. With Derek and Alina gone, the toxicity was purged. Employees who once looked wary now moved with confidence, knowing the business was led with integrity. New partnerships were secured, our reputation was restored, and trust returned to the market. Profits climbed higher than ever. But for me, something outweighed success: peace. The weight of betrayal no longer pressed on my chest. I'd proven to myself and the world that loyalty, patience, and quiet resolve triumph in the end. As for them, Derek was drowning in lawsuits, bankrupt and shunned. Alina tried to claw her way back into society, but her name was tied to scandal. Doors slammed in her face. I heard whispers, Alina begging for jobs, Derek sinking deeper into debt. But they weren't my concern anymore. One evening, as I left the office, the sunset bathed the city in gold. I thought back to the day they called me finished, and I smiled. The truest revenge wasn't just watching them lose everything. It was knowing I'd gained what they could never buy: respect, freedom, and a life on my terms. That was justice. That was closure. That was revenge. Was this justice deserved? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you believe this tale of betrayal and triumph is fair, like it, share it with someone who needs this fire, and follow Lauren's stories for more gripping tales of deception and justice. Because here, every lie meets its reckoning, and every betrayal finds its shadow. Stay sharp, stay bold, and stay tuned.